Good morning to you, Stephen.
Morning, Julia. Lovely to hear your voice on this fine, fresh spring morning.
Well, it is a fine, fresh spring morning for many, but I imagine it's also quite a scary morning for large numbers of people in this country who are Jewish, who are worried that, as Gideon Falter has said in this quote, that Jeremy Corbyn is putting up a very clear two-fingered salute at mainstream British Jewry. Is he?
That's utterly absurd. I have to say, first, it seems to me that on both wings of the argument, there is absolute nonsense on stilts. The idea that there is some secret Tory right-wing Labour cabal that has managed to go back in time and manipulate people's tweets and their comments in the sort of a foul, fetid sewer of cyberspace to come up with this nonsense. That is as risible as the idea that there is, somehow this sort of dreadful conspiracy against everybody who happens to be Jewish throughout the country, or that the Labour Party is a completely, anti-Semitism free zone. There's anti-Semites in every single walk of life, and they need to be outed, they need to be exposed, they need to be challenged, they need to be shown the error of their ways. But to somehow imply that there's an institutional racism in the Labour Party is not only appallingly insulting to all the Jewish members of the Labour Party, it's a complete nonsense, and it doesn't recognise the facts in any way, shape or form. Apart from that, good morning.
You say there are anti-Semites in every walk of life. There seem to be an awful lot of them walking in the Labour Party, doesn't there? You say there's not institutional racism in the Labour Party. An awful lot of Jewish people seem to believe there is, including Jewish Labour MPs, your own colleagues on your own benches, and of course the leaders of the Board of Deputies of British Jews and the Jewish Leadership Council, who represent mainstream British Jewry in this country. Are they all just wrong? Have they just got their knickers in a twist over nothing?
Of course they're not true.
No, wait a minute. So if they're not wrong, then there is a level of institutional racism in the Labour Party now, isn't there?
No, you can't have a level of something institutional. It's either institutional or it is not. There's not a degree of institutional racism. There are elements, as Jeremy Corbyn himself said, there are pockets in there without any shadow of a doubt. And I would not be so stupid as to try to imply that there weren't. But equally, to imply that there is this sort of somehow this massive, great anti-Israeli, anti-Jewish plot within the Labour Party is absolutely barking mad. What there is a whole range of people coming together, and you get them on the right wing. You even get people like this saintly Jacob Rees-Mogg attending meetings. There's extremely unsavoury right-wing people, and there are people on the Labour Party who attend people, sort of pretty bonkers groups on the left. But people seem to bring together this whole sort of worldview, anti-Freemasonry, anti-Zionist, the idea that the Rothschilds control the world. These people should be treated with utter withering contempt.
Well, Stephen, I think, and they were for many years by the Labour leadership, whoever was leader, until Jeremy Corbyn came around. Because you talk about these bonkers groups and these pockets. Well, those pockets include the like of Christine Shawcroft, who had to be finally persuaded to leave the NEC because the publicity was getting too bad. Very senior figures within the Labour Party, within Momentum, which is now basically got control of the Labour Party, have very strong links to these bonkers groups, as does the Labour leader himself. You serve on the front bench of a Labour leader who has spent his lifetime with these, as you say, bonkers groups on the left.
Yeah. Well, look, hang on a second. There's been a sort of Shawcroft redemption here, hasn't it? Because, she's resigned.
Well, in that case. That case, it's okay. If people resign, then it's okay.
I think that's pretty damned impressive. Somebody actually resigns not just her position, but actually a member. But the other thing is, you say... Sorry.
You think it's impressive? Christine Shawcroft was defending the right of someone to remain a member of the Labour Party after they issued a Holocaust-denying tweet, which they now say was a joke, because I know we just all find that hilariously funny. Killing 6 million Jews makes me laugh every morning, like everyone else in the country. And you're saying it's impressive that she was eventually forced to resign?
Look, no,
are you having a laugh?
Different. No, Julia, hang on, come on, you're better than that. You know that.
I thought the Labour Party was better than that.
Yeah. Well, I still have faith in Julia Hartley-Brewer, and I hope you have a smidgen of faith left in the Labour Party.
I don't have no. Stephen, I don't. I say, you know my family. You know I was raised in a Labour family. Yeah, I have no faith in Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party that they will handle this, because this is now so utterly the entire Labour movement is now infected with this, is it not?
Look, let's get on with it. No, I don't think it is. I mean, as for me being on the front bench, I was on the front bench before Jeremy Corbyn was the leader. I was actually appointed by Ed Miliband, and I stayed on. So, there's not that direct link.
Sorry, so I'm sorry. What's your point there, Stephen? So it's okay to stay on the front bench because you were already there beforehand.
Front bench. No, you were saying I'm one of Jeremy Corbyn's front benches. I'm not. I'm
you
a
are.
Labour front bench.
You are. You serve as a shadow minister under Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, I do, as I did under Ed Miliband.
Yeah, but last time I looked, Jeremy Corbyn's been leader for a few years now.
Indeed, he has. But
by serving on his front bench, you are endorsing his leadership.
Of course, I'm not endorsing his leadership.
You're not endorsing Jeremy Corbyn's leadership.
He is the elected leader of the Labour Party, and as such, is owed a duty of loyalty from people within the party. That's what, when someone's elected, it doesn't matter whether you voted for them or not, they are the leader. You have to respect that. Simple as. I may not endorse the leadership of Theresa May, but she's my Prime Minister. I don't necessarily endorse her, but she's there.
I just want to go back and clarify, Stephen Pound. As a member of the shadow front bench team, you're saying, you just said to me, of course I'm not endorsing his leadership.
Not on a personal basis, no. I mean, you don't do that. When you're on the front bench, you don't have to swear an oath of loyalty. You don't have to, sort of cut your wrist and mix your blood or anything. That's nonsense. I am a member of... But
you have collective responsibility, just as the Cabinet does, don't you? The government does.
Exactly so.
And so you're quite happy. Are you genuinely, honestly, Stephen Pound, I've known you for a long time, are you perfectly happy about the judgment of your leader, the man who wants to be Prime Minister and you are endorsing as Prime Minister by sitting on his front bench? Are you saying you think that Jeremy Corbyn showed good judgment in attending an event hosted by this group last night that had described Israel as sewage and where Jewish Labour MPs were booed? You think that shows good judgment of a man who's fit to be Prime Minister?
One of the worst things you can do is rush to judgment. I don't know about this. The first I've heard of it was...
There are video recordings of this event.
Yeah. Okay, well, no, and I will look at them and I will draw my own conclusions. But
all right then. If what I've just told you is true, and I can assure you it is true, if what I've just told you is true, if that is the case, would you regard that as exhibiting poor judgment by Jeremy Corbyn?
I haven't a clue because I want to see the evidence. I'm not going to rush to judge. I'm not going to condemn anyone without seeing any of the evidence. That's the sort of thing that these people on either of the extreme wings of British society do. I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to dive into that sewer.
But even though Jeremy Corbyn's office has admitted that, yes, he did attend this event.
But I don't know what the event was. I don't know what was said there. I mean, I go to some events, certainly when I was the mayor of Ealing, I go to all sorts of places. You don't choose the people you go to by and large. If he was there in a personal capacity, I would like to know. Well, no, of course, sometimes you actually have an obligation.
Do you think after having to issue yet another statement and after Momentum issued a statement about tackling anti-Semitism in the party after all these issues, do you think it was a good idea for Jeremy Corbyn to choose to, in a personal or business capacity, to attend an event where with a group of people who have described Israel as sewage and who have booed and criticised Jewish Labour MPs? Do you think that was a good idea?
If these are the facts, then of course it wasn't. I don't know about. There seem to be a plethora of these organisations popping up all over.
So it was a bad idea.
I've never heard of this one ever. Did you?
I haven't, but I'll bet you a lot of money that Jeremy Corbyn had, because it's just a sort of, as your phrase used, bonkers group that he will have known about because he spends time with these people. Just final question to you, Stephen. Do you think Jeremy Corbyn is fit to be Prime Minister?
Of course he is.
You honestly believe that?
I think he's grown into the job. I didn't vote for him, didn't support him. I supported the person who stood against him. I certainly didn't nominate him. I voted for Yvette Cooper first and Owen Smith. There's no question about it. Everybody knows where I stand on the spectrum. But I think he's grown into the job. And yes, there's a lot of baggage from the past, but, he's been in politics a long, long time. And, we've all got that to a certain extent. I think he's actually quite calm, impressive, and I think particularly over the Skripal incident in Salisbury, he showed more judgment than the Prime Minister did.
Genuinely, Stephen, I'm absolutely flabbergasted. Showing judgment by saying, well, yes, but could it be the Russians? Well, the rest of the world seems to believe it was the Russians. So obviously, Jeremy Corbyn has some secret knowledge which no one else has. Stephen Pound, Labour MP for Ealing North, Shadow Northern Ireland Minister, thank you very much for that.